actual boddhichitta, or whatever that is called, ultimate boddhichitta, as opposed to relative boddhichitta. I think that's how the words go. Anyway, let's just take refuge. With a wish for all beings to be free, free of the constriction and contraction caused by held belief systems and thought patterns, free from the automatic reactivity of learned and held emotional patterns, and free of the isolation and suffering caused by distorted perceptions. I will always go for refuge to alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion. Today, in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of any lineage or none, and or any time or beyond time, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. I haven't said this in a little while. That intention is what touches me. Actually, the refuge is what has the ability to shift my awareness, my attention. And you may find something different or wish to say something different. And it is said there is great value in saying a refuge intention, if you will, that has been said by lots of people for lots of years. And that may be true. I can't tell you that. For me, to have something that reminds me again and again of what I often forget, especially when I get distracted, of what really has the ability, no, reminds me in a way that I shift my attention, my awareness, beyond my somewhat self-limiting, self-protective little heart mind. Neither one is right or wrong, and they're certainly dancing together. Would be a goal of mine, if there is such a thing, an intention that by practicing, there will be some balance in the awareness. If we try to squish any idea or concept or belief pattern or anything that holds our personality together, we will get great resistance. If we are lucky enough to start to notice that it is those patterns that on some level we believe are keeping us safe, helping us survive, to actually those patterns that may have functioned in that way early in our life, but are now pretty much the root of our suffering. Knowing that as a concept is not very useful. It's a part of us that isn't going by concept. It's going by often sheer panic and wish to survive is not going to be affected by any concept we come up with to try to make it go away. So there's nothing wrong with those patterns. For all I know, they're the very thing that caused you to be able to survive. So why would you try to destroy them with a bomb? Bam! I need to get rid of that. No, I just need to be present and aware. And perhaps those will, in their own time, wander off when they're ready. Why Chenrezig? Well, I don't actually have a need for any of you. I don't have a need to hold on to the idea of Chenrezig, the concept of Chenrezig. However, if you happen to notice the essence of Chenrezig, I don't care if you call it Chenrezig or a blooming lotus or open-heartedness or ultimate reality, what actually is. So we play in here with different ways of noticing. I have a wonderful new quote for you. I'm trying to see if who gave it to me is here. I don't think so. It is a pretty simple description or pointing at ultimate reality, compassion, whatever word. And the quote is, should your leg thank you for scratching an itch with your hand? Or perhaps should your leg thank your hand for scratching an itch? I see some of you smiling. Others are probably going, what the heck is she talking about? Well, I think we'll leave it right there. I have got to find that quote, I keep promising. But it goes something like, it's from the Dalai Lama. Compassion is not an emotion. Emotions come and go. That's not his, I don't think. He just says, compassion is not an emotion. It is reality. Once we recognize that our leg is not separate from our hand, there is not an I trying to be a hero, trying to do anything at all. When you have an itch on your leg, how much do you think about, oh, my leg, my poor leg is having an itch. Oh, I'm a bodhisattva. I better find a way to take care of that itch. I don't think probably that goes through most of our minds. I think out of habit, we scratch the itch. Like any analogy or metaphor, that can be taken to an extreme where it becomes ridiculous. So we won't do that. We'll leave it right where it was, right where it is. And today, is there anybody that has never had the um, Chenrezig practice in at least the framework of Lama Lena's teaching when she does it? Okay, thank you. And let's see. I won't use names because we're on YouTube, but welcome. Let's see how it arises today. Do you remember a time in your life, perhaps in this moment, when You just felt everything was okay. You might have felt it as warmth in your heart area. You might have felt it in many different ways. Sort of a bubbling up of joy. Actually, any name we put on it limits it. But that moment when somehow there's nothing to fix and nothing to worry about. You just feel okay. We often label that as love, a warm waft of warmth, light. But actually, if you can rest when it arises without doing anything at all, without separating yourself from it and looking at it, simply resting in the experience as the experience, you may notice when you pull yourself together and go, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? Yeah, oh, I get it. I love that person. Or, oh, it was that made me cry. It can be stimulated, that very experience, by all kinds of things, and it will be different for all of us. It could be from another person. Then we won't get into what we do with that to mess it up lots of times. At least I have. Oh, I love them. Now, if I could just get them to be what I want. Yeah, it's an interesting form of love. If we don't mess with it at all, when we pull ourselves back into ourselves, we may notice that there's quite a timeless quality. You might say to yourself, oh, wow, I didn't realize I'd been sitting here for 10 minutes or an hour or whatever. Very timeless. And you may actually notice in starting to look from what we perceive as our individual self, that experience didn't have any I and them. No duality. It just is. My experience is most of us are so enthralled with it, we like it, or maybe some don't. Regardless, we react to it. Oh, I'm in love with Jim. Oh, I just love that particular piece of music. I love kittens. I love puppies. And we start to identify. I love Hallmark movies. If any of you know what those are, they always make me cry. Uh, Being kind of a sentimental sap. What else? A hike can be either way on a day that's cold and blustery and seems hard, and you keep going and you get to the peak and you sit for a moment and everything falls away. There's a sense of, ah, right there for some of you. Or a beautiful day. Actually does not seem so dependent on the elements around us. Oh, we think it is. But when you experience it, it may have nothing to do with the elements, and you might be really surprised. I can't believe that I'm sitting here in a snowstorm, having climbed that mountain, and I feel wonderful. Or I noticed I felt wonderful. So how do we rest into those experiences? Is it possible that that experience that we're trying to call up a memory of or imagine how it would feel? Is it possible it's present all the time? And it is our fears, hopes and fears, if you want to go with Buddhist philosophy, that keep us from noticing it. That and our ignorance of feeling like we're very solid, independent individuals. The very first oops, there's me, me, who I need to protect, and there's everything else. So those moments may have an experiential sense that those really aren't very separate. That dropping away of duality. What a gift. You can't make it happen because what would be trying to make it happen? Yourself. Since it's not dual, it's pretty hard to make yourself find it. It's kind of like what's called the best definition of a blessing I've ever heard. But that's the one that seems appropriate or resonates with me. So blessing is simply a shift. Most of those shifts we practice with the hope, usually, that something might shift, something might happen. Holding on to that hope and looking for it is probably what makes it less likely to occur. But we still do it sometimes, don't we? Oh, I'm going to practice Chenrezig until I love everyone. I can do it. It's a good intention. Now we have to let go of it and just practice. Or dance. We don't even have to call it practice, which can sound like drudgery. Oh, I have to wash the dishes again. No, we can dance together. So, as we take a moment to try to remember or just experience in this moment the utter openness. Well, I can't describe it, can I? Now we'll start looking for utter openness. See what a trap this gets to be, our words. An experience that seems beyond our normal self-protectiveness, which takes the range all the way from, oh, what did they think of me? Maybe they thought I was an idiot. What should I do about blah, 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 to anything that is only self-focused. How many times do we wake up and go, well, how do I feel today? I hope I have a good day. Oh, I remember so-and-so was mad at me. Oh, and then we make stories about that. Those pretty much, if we look, are all centered on I. Not wrong, not bad, just limited. So we could try waking up this week if we wanted to. Before we get all of our to-do list and everything else we put on, and say, I wonder how the world feels today. Or I wonder how the universe feels today. I wonder how my kitty cat feels today. Just a little more inclusive. Anyway, as we do this, we can visualize in our heart should I say this? I have an ongoing debate with Lama Lena. At least my understanding of what she says and what her understanding of what I say is. Who knows what we're actually doing? For me, the heart chakra is very much located in the heart until it fills everything. Sometimes that wave is not specifically located inside or outside. It just is. However, Lama Lena, I believe, if I have understood, believes that sensation to be in the gut chakra, the gut biome. I don't really give a shit where it is, in all honesty, as long as we experience it. And we could spend a lot of time, oh, I feel anxiety and fear and anger. That's my gut. But love and openness, grief even, is more in my heart. Well, who really cares? If it's important, go ahead and look. But otherwise, just experience the sensation. And as we open to whatever sensation in this moment, helps us to relax. Be present together. If we're spinning in our thinking brain, which many of us Westerners perceive as being our brain, our crown chakra area, we can just take some breaths. Feel the breath going down to our lungs. Feel our bottom sitting on whatever we're sitting on. That wherever we're sitting, resting on a floor perhaps, which is resting on the house structure, which is resting on the earth. And we can experience perhaps for a moment something I won't put into words because I can't. And now I'll try. The full energies and connection between the earth and the sky. And we can rest there anytime. Someone once described it to me as, be where your hands are. But for me, that idea of breathing in, basically breathing in the sky, breathing it into the body, letting it reach all the way down into the earth, all the way through our body, picking up anything that is not beneficial to our body, and feeding our cells, every one of them, with, if you will care for it, the oxygen that keeps us alive, taking away the carbon dioxide. Every molecule, every cell in our body. And when we breathe out, we feed the trees. Isn't that a lovely image? The trees that love to take in carbon dioxide. Wow. We could rest right there, and we would be doing Chenrezig. we can take this further and start to with only the breath. The breath bringing these tiny, tiny, tiny little bits of nothing that anybody can actually find as solid in a molecule of oxygen. Used to be molecules, then atoms, then, quarks, and now virtual particles, and yet no thing that we can say, oh, that's the solid structure at the bottom of everything. Can't find it. What's the solid structure at the bottom of you? Is there anything in you that isn't made of something else? Composite is the word that's used a lot. And then, if we let that open what we perceive as outward, what is any different? What is the difference between anything? Granted, the structures might look differently to us. You all appear to me to have different qualities in your face, your body. But what actually is different? It's all the same no thing, coming together in slightly different ways, perhaps. But still, not one thing that's a solid reality. Yikes. And that's kind of fun to do sometimes if it doesn't scare the daylights out of you. We could do that a little bit today. If everything is simply an illusion of something solid, and everything is made up of, let's make it simple, simply energy moving, congealing in some ways to make a form, but not made of anything other than that energy. These are just words. Sometimes I like to imagine all of everything, these little dancing molecules all over everywhere, not even molecules. If you look at the sky and relax your eyes, many of you have done this, you will see these little sparkly things dancing in the sky. Maybe that's all everything is. And yet, we want to protect this form at all costs. Well, our form is changing all the time, isn't it? Look at yourself as a baby if you have a picture. You can't say that's you, but you can't say it's not you. Can you? This and that. How wonderful that the stardust, if you want to go to the Big Bang, whatever initially arose, that started to make composites of things. We're all made of exactly the same thing. or no thing, if you will. And if we start to walk around for a little while, it's wonderful to do these kinds of things as even a 2 or 3 day retreat or longer. We start to experience everything around us in that way. There's not a whole lot that needs fixing or changing. We might be able to relax and rest a little bit. Ooh, we still might spontaneously act. Probably if you saw the person in front of you drop their wallet out of their pocket, you wouldn't need to think a lot. You'd simply pick the wallet up and say, "Hey, excuse me, I think you dropped this." Doesn't make the wallet any more real than anything else, but we perceive it that way. So we don't deny what we perceive. We just don't get so worried about shaping it the way we want it to be so that we'll feel okay. Maybe. We can rest a little more and relax a little more and maybe let things be with almost a sense of awe. Wow, how did the universe come together and make all this out of pretty much nothing? Wow. And if we are able to rest there, and we'll come in and out of it, we'll grab our personality back. But wait a minute. She said, "I'm nothing." I said, "No thing, perhaps. But I know I'm kind and strong and beautiful, except on the days I think I'm an idiot and I can't do anything right." What changed? Everything we think about ourselves is an illusion. That may either feel wondrous to you or the most ultimately frightening experience you can have. You're everything. You came from everything, no thing, and you're continually changing until nothing can hold that composite together. Conditions aren't right. And then that energy that came together will disperse until perhaps it becomes part of something else or becomes something else. It makes a composite again, like a giant recycling center. Kind of cool. And then we get excited and we go, "Oh, so you're saying I don't die?" Well, not exactly. Maybe some patterns go forward, are attracted to certain things, so they come together. But the I of you has changed over your lifetime. What makes you think it's going to go through the bardo or whatever after your form dissolves, disperses? Why would it come together in any kind of the same way? But that spark of life that's pointed to so much that we all share with every being. You can even make an argument for the walls. Are they living or are they dead? Well, they have those little bits of whatever there's nothing running around that's conglomerated together to make something that appears solid. But we don't have to debate that. Who cares? That very spark of energy or life or whatever you'd like to call it, that all beings share. That's what Chenrezig's pointing at. That's the symbol of that. Not separate. Not all the same. That's silly. Colors in a rainbow are not all the same. But they're certainly not separate either. Huh. You have been, are, and will be everything that ever makes itself into a composite. Oh, it doesn't make itself into it. That was silly, sorry. That ever has the causes and conditions to come together as a composite. How hard is that to experience? Together, all here together today, maybe not so hard. When we get out in the world, very hard sometimes. How about if you really experience that you don't have to try so hard to be anything at all? Even harder in our Western culture, where there are religions that tell us that we started in sin. Really? That's not what this path tells you. So check it out for yourself. This path says your essence is open-hearted, open-minded, pardon the expression, unlimited love. That's who you really are. Not love for something I love. Simply love, joy, grief, all of it. Not right, not wrong. Not good, not bad. Beyond duality. Right there. And watch, if you're like me and so many others, if you can rest there a little bit, there's going to be a little voice. Yours might be different words. But what about me? What am I supposed to do? Anything you want. But would my left hand take a grenade because I was frustrated that my right foot hurt? Pull the pin and throw it at my right foot. Pretty silly, huh? No. No. You take that all the way out. When we experience tremendous anger at another being. We may be angry at ourselves. Not good, not bad, not denying it, not stuffing it. We've made them a they, and I'm a me, separate. There's an analogy that what we truly are is simply light. Imagine your being if there was no light. There was only darkness. We attribute the light that we see with to the sun. Now we have electricity, so we have light all over the darn place any time of day. What's the origin of light? Also expressed sometimes that we are sound. Thus the mantra of Chenrezig, the sound of what's pointed at as your essence, my essence, everyone's essence, the bee's essence, the leaf's essence, anything that has that spark of aliveness. Said that we are sound. And the sound in this case is made of a mantra. Om mani padme hum. Om. The original sound. Om. Mani padme hum. If you choose to say that, let your mantra speak throughout your body. And naturally, the sound extend into the universe. You can hear it when you say the mantra. Go ahead and try if you want. Om mani padme hum. You can feel it all the way down, really, to the earth. Comes out your mouth. At least we're told that. Om mani padme hum. But where do you hear it? Inside? Kinda. Outside? Do you hear it with your ear organ? Yeah. Where does that sound stop? It's a wave, just like light. If we can perceive now by different means, light, even if we just take what our eyes can perceive, find a dark place at night that's not got a lot of light pollution and look at the stars. Holy Christmas. Maybe literally. You're looking light years away and you're seeing that light. What's to say sound doesn't carry out into the universe. It might make us a little more conscious of what we say. Remember when we were taught that well, you're younger, a lot of you than me, that everything out in space was simply a vacuum. Nothing traveled through it. Well, now we know, obviously, by our sight even, that light travels through it. Now there's found that there's a sound to the universe. Nobody yet knows what it is, or how it got there, or anything about it. But now scientists have perceived that there is a sound that permeates the universe. Huh. And how about the very vibration of sound? You can feel the vibration when you say the mantra. Om, Mani, Padme, Hung. You can feel the vibration throughout your body. Where does that begin? Where does it end? How important is sound? Vibration? If you have a child or a dog or a cat, something that's dependent on you, and you yell in anger, say something unkind, it is said that it takes at least 10 times of something positive to begin to neutralize the effect of that sound perceived as negative. It isn't just the volume. I could scream in joy and it might startle you, but it wouldn't hurt you. Is it something about the vibration? The tone carries great weight. Guru Rinpoche, quote, Padmasambhava, says, and I will stress again, as I almost always do, in Tibetan, believe in any Buddhism, heart and mind, big mind, open mind, are in the same location. They're in the heart chakra. The word in Tibetan for, is it semie? I'm not good at language. Is that true? I don't know. Anyway, can be translated as heart or mind, depending on the circumstances. Guru Rinpoche Padmasambhava said, "Let your heart and mind be as expansive as the universe." Not a direct quote, but just a summation. Let it be as expansive as you can. Let it reach to the edge of the universe, beyond the universe, into the multiverse, no limitation, no confinement, no boundary. Let your actions be as pure as the finest grain of sampa. Or perhaps he said the finest grain of sand within the sampa. I don't know. Sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? Until we realize if we're all made of light, sound, and vibration, how that reflects within our actions is powerful. How our heart mind opens with no boundary or limitation is powerful. Together. Together. Somebody once asked the Dalai Lama, if you had to choose between emptiness or the lack of individuality of anything, the lack of anything to hold on to that's solid, is what that refers to. But we could do it as sky space. Doesn't matter what we name that complete, indescribable openness. And they asked him, if you had to choose between, I think they used the word, questioners, wisdom and compassion, which would you choose? And he said, if you truly experience emptiness, impermanence, wisdom, whatever name, you will realize compassion. That is not always the case with us Westerners. We can definitely open to the spaciousness. I don't think we were brought up with all of this phenomenal world of deities and things outside of ourself that aren't really outside, but that's a whole nother. The magical world of what's called Vajrayana, the symbols of all that we are and the very essence of the shared aliveness. Most of us were not raised with that, like raised with Samba, until we were part of our reality. So we may miss that, and therefore we come through. I would not argue, but I'd say if you recognize fully bodhicitta as it is, you can't help but recognize wisdom. They aren't separate. Can't be separate. So then, as he was talking about this vast essence of life and everything, somebody said, well, then you're really free to do anything. You could kill somebody, and that's all right too, right? If we're all so perfect. And he said, if you recognize who you are, it would never occur to you to kill something. There's so many stories. Story of the Buddha. Not many people like this story. I like it a lot. But I'm kind of weird. The life before the Buddha was born into his life where he recognized enlightenment, whatever that may mean. He was wandering around in the forest and he came upon, there's something. He came upon I think it was a tiger, a mother tiger who was starving, and her little cubs were also starving, of course. And he immediately came to that tiger, and he cut his wrist so he could drip some blood into her mouth and feed her. What I don't think it says in the story, it might, when she had taken enough blood that she could actually function, she probably turned around and ate him so she could feed her cubs and she could survive. Did the reincarnation before the Buddha, did he stop and think, oh, maybe if I just give her a little blood, she'll be all right, and then I'll get away and I'll be safe? No, just responded to what was needed in that moment. Was it wise? Who knows? Was it safe for his form? Probably not. It's an interesting story to rest with. Did he sit and have a debate? Is my life more valuable than the life of the tiger and her cubs? No, I don't suppose he had that debate at all. I like that story personally, but there's another one about a boat captain who was taking, he believed, 100 bodhisattvas across to somewhere else where I don't know what they were going to do. Not the point of the story. We could make a story about it, but no point. And he realized one night that one of the people on board was not a bodhisattva and actually had the intention to kill all the bodhisattvas. And he got very angry. So, well, I'll have to do something about that. I need to just kill that person. And then he quieted down for a moment and he rested with it. Believe the captain might have been a bodhisattva also, but we don't have to label him or her, them. When they sat with this question, the captain realized that if he killed this man to protect the bodhisattvas, this would not be, he could not do that. But as he rested with it and the consequences for the person that was going to kill all the bodhisattvas from anger or some story he'd told himself, he realized the harm that that would do for that being. And the captain made the decision for that reason, and he took the life of the would-be murderer. Not out of anger, but out of compassion. That's the story. I don't know about you all, I'm not that wise. My clarity is not such that I could trust my thinking. And I don't know that this captain trusted their thinking. I don't really think that's the point of the story. Who are you? Have you been chasing love all your life? Connection? Forgetting that it starts with you? Can you recognize who you really are so that there isn't that battle to be good enough? One more story. I have a friend who had just a horrendous start to life, abused in ways that beyond my comprehension. One of the worst stories I've ever heard. She's an incredibly kind person. And I had the opportunity to really get to know her. And she told me a story that I also love. This is the story here and now. All the stories are about here and now, not about long, long, long ago. They're not meant to be stories of reality long, long, long ago. They're meant to be stories for this moment, now. Anyway, somewhere around 8 or 9, uh, I don't know how old she was, I won't say, but there was a program on television that she watched called Fantasy Island. Many of you will never have heard of it. And you might have heard of Ricardo Montalban, who was in charge of the island. And he wore a white suit and he granted people's wishes. Fantasy Island. And she watched this program and she felt somehow she had a connection to something, but he became her symbol of all that was good and all that would love and all that cared for beings. And she had Ricardo Montalban in this white suit as a very young child, as her symbol of the love that she certainly was not experiencing anywhere. And she would sit and talk with him. And that eventually became for her what she gave the label God, but it wasn't like some big thing outside of her. It's just Ricardo Montalban sitting and talking with her. It's one of the most wonderful stories I've ever heard from anybody. And she still, I don't know if she still sits and sees Ricardo Montalban as the symbol, because she feels this heart connection so strongly with what she is, for lack of any word, she calls God, but certainly not that white-haired old man hanging out in the sky. This connection with love. And she talks with this connection before she makes any important decision. Isn't that remarkable? I don't think Ricardo Montalban probably knows that he affected this horribly abused child in such a way that she carries forward with open-heartedness and love. Amazing story to me. You can't hold on to the symbol. I'm pretty sure Fantasy Island is not on the air anymore, though you could probably find it. And I'm pretty sure Ricardo Montalban probably isn't alive anymore. So if my friend Katie had hung on to the symbol, where would she be now? What she did is lean into the experience, and it changed her life. Lucky her. Whether it's your teacher or a deity or anything, if we hang on to the symbol and miss the essence that's always present, we become dependent on something we perceive as outside of us. You are Chenrezig. You are the Buddha. Not the Buddha, you are Buddha. And for almost every one of us here, there will be a little voice saying, no, you're not. You're not good enough. Bullshit. What if you are Buddha? And out of fear, hope and fear, you do some actions that are not particularly what you would conceive as Buddha-like. If you came from the awareness that you are Buddha, you are bodhicitta and wisdom, love and spaciousness, whatever you want to call all of this. You are the very spark of life that everything carries. I don't think you would be a judge sitting in judgment of yourself. I think you might, we might, have some compassion for how all we humans grab on to what we perceive as our individual self, what we should be, what we're afraid we're not. If we could believe that, even before we experience it, and act as though, yes, I am Buddha. I am a Buddha. I might bring a little more awareness to my actions, not out of judgment, not out of fear, and not out of hope, and not out of acting as though. Could we be kinder with our words? It doesn't mean we take any anger that arises and stuff it and judge it and say, oh, I'm such a bad person, I feel anger. It's not like that. We're human. We feel anger. Do you trust anyone that says, oh, I never get angry? I don't. We will have those emotions. We're human. We're in this form. We can rest with those emotions without trying to get rid of them, repress them, justify them, do anything with them at all, including love, what we call love. We try to act on that. Oh, I want that. I want to grab it. I want to hold it. Where do you think jealousy and possessiveness come from? Many of us suffer from that, suffer a great deal from it, because we forgot we're Buddha. We forgot. We made somebody else Buddha. And we could smile, not go, oh, you idiot. Listen to how you talk with yourself. Do you use kind words? Somebody in another group said she finally noticed how she talked to herself all the time. Said it was horrible. I would not let anybody talk to me the way I was talking to myself. She said, so I decided I would change it. And if I say something to myself like, oh, you idiot, I say, you're not an idiot, sweetheart. You're awesome. Now, that may be something a little beyond what you want to do. It changed things for her. That simple action changed things. She didn't do them. That's enough words. We just can try some things for fun, not to get enlightened, not to get anything at all, other than we just do some things out of curiosity and a little bit of wonder. How do people like Garshan Rinpoche, a theoretically perfectly ordinary human being, get thrown into Chinese prisons, tortured, hideously tortured, starved, just unbelievably, devastatingly hard conditions and turn into, or was, I don't know. He is a living symbol of Chenrezig. Is he perfect? I don't know what that means anymore. But I can imagine being love in my heart, having gone through those conditions. Yikes. If that's something that pulls towards you, it is curious. Dzogchen Rinpoche really hands out only one book to everyone. It's free on his website. 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva. And if you're a Westerner, you might appreciate Ken MacLeod's translation and commentary. Dzogchen Rinpoche teaches everything. So many empowerments you can take on his website. So many things. But what he says is you don't need all of that. Yeah, I need to let you all go. I get a little inspired sometimes, especially when we all get to be here together. So I will say thank you all very much for being here, so that whatever arose today between us could arise. May we not grab onto, try to hold, try to analyze, try to figure out anything that arose, but simply let it rest with us, radiating out into the universe as it will, naturally, organically, touching all beings. May all beings be free of the constraints of our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Sorry, quickly notice I didn't say, may we all be free of our thoughts. May we all get rid of our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. No. May we be free of the restraints and restrictions of our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. May all of us keep walking. May all beings be free of those very same constrictions. Thank you, thank you, thank you.